Welcome to the Old Ways for the New Age podcast, where we weave the threads of traditional living into the tapestry of modern day life. I'm Hannah Forrest, a herbalist and naturopath with a deep love for plants, seasons, and the quiet rituals that shape how we live and care for ourselves. This podcast is an invitation to slow down and reconnect with the wisdom of the natural world through herbal medicine, folklore, seasonal living, ritual, astrology, and simple earth-honoring practices that can be gently folded into everyday life. I'm so glad you're here. Let's dive in. I wish to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which I live and record, the Wanjerabara people. I honour their enduring connection to the lands, waters, and communities, and I pay my respects to elders past and present. I also extend this respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. Hey everyone, and welcome back to this week's episode. This week's guest was an absolute honour to host, and she has been such an inspiration for me for pretty much my entire witchcraft journey, and that is Stacey Demarco. Stacey is an internationally respected pagan practitioner, witch, author, educator, and activist from Sydney. And her passion is to make practical magic accessible to everyone, reconnecting people with the power of nature, which is what we're all about here on the podcast. She was once described by the Australian mainstream financial press as the thinking woman's witch, and she's the author of best-selling books on earth-based spirituality, including the classic Witch in the Boardroom. And then also she does the yearly lunar diaries, which you probably have seen in any type of bookstore, witchy shop. They're called the lunar and seasonal diaries, and she does them for the southern and the northern hemisphere. What's great about Stacey is she has a very down-to-earth but also scholastic, educational, spiritual style, and she is really skilled at weaving ancient techniques in order to solve modern problems. At the beginning of the year, I mentioned that a goal of mine this year on the podcast was to speak more about protective magic, because it was something I wanted to work more on in my own personal craft, but then also felt like it would be great to share it with my listeners. And when I thought about who would be great to talk to protective magic about, obviously I've spoken to Michaela Rachel from Star Witch Astrology about a little bit of protective magic, but Stacey came to mind because last year in 2025, she released a book called Protective Magic, and it's the guide to protecting yourself, your family, and your space. This book is a great touch point for all the foundations that you'll need for a really effective protective practice. In our conversation, we cover curses, which is such a buzzword. We cover protective plants, which of course you all know that's a big part of what we do here. And Stacey's so passionate about her garden, which is beautiful to see. She even brought some props. So if you're not watching this, there are actually a few visual things you might want to see. So this might be an episode to tune into the video for, so you can do that on Substack or YouTube. She talks about personal rituals of hers, like drawing up energy from the earth each morning. And she even shares a cool tool that she's programming for clients, which is a little disco ball that you can hang in your garden to prevent any negative energy from entering your space and sending it back to whence it came. I think overall, we really just cover how magic doesn't need to be big, fancy, ceremonial ritual. It doesn't need to be complicated. In fact, for a really genuine and embodied personal practice, keeping it simple and integrating it in really practical ways into your everyday life is key. Stacey even talks about how to make a magical stapler, which I thought was so funny and great, and I'm definitely going to do that. I think that there's something for everyone in this episode, whether you're a little bit more advanced or whether you're a total beginner. There is something for everyone. So I really hope that you enjoy it. Definitely check out the show notes and go and find Stacey. Enjoy her books, her card decks. She actually tells us at the end about a very exciting card deck coming later in the year, and just enjoy the episode. I know that you'll love getting to know Stacey and her vibrant personality, and we'll catch you in the next one. Hey, Stacey, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to talk to another plant nerd. It's great.
I know. It's so good. And I love that you're so into your herbs and your plant medicines and you have a garden. And, you know, I've been such a big fan of your work for so long, as we kind of touched on before we started recording. But you had such a diverse career path. You've done so many things, and you've been such a pillar of the witchy community for so long. You're definitely one of like the first influences on me, which I feel very grateful for.
Oh,
I
thank
feel
you.
like
Wow.
definitely feel like it helped to shape my path and, you know, the way that my life went. So thank you for that.
Oh.
And but I know that, you know, unless people know you from, you've got some beautiful books, lots of beautiful books. You've got the Lunar Diary, which I feel like, you know, comes out every year, Northern and Southern Hemisphere. People might know
Yeah.
you from that. But if they don't know you, could you introduce yourself a little bit and tell us kind of
Oh.
how you came to this path?
I think I'm a pretty ordinary person that maybe has an extraordinary path. Like that's I'm Australian. I come from a humble background. Not witchy, nothing like that. Although certainly animal orientated. My grandmothers have gardens, and from a very early age, I was out in the garden. Some of the earliest photographs, and they're all black and white, and like
I love
back in
it.
the day. Yeah. There's little me with a dog in the garden, and that's pretty much been the greatest influences. Animals,
Yeah.
gardens, that sort of thing. I come from a corporate background, so not a woo woo in the at the beginning. Although we were just saying that it's not an or pathway. You don't have to be kind of this woo woo person that doesn't think.
Yeah.
You can be both. And it's an and rather than an or. And so I kind of grew up with journalism, marketing, PR, writing speeches for people, working with musicians, big corporations, and then kind of decided that the witchcraft part of things, and I'd been interested in the pathway in my teens, but not understanding, not practicing reading, like I was always into mythology. A lot of my writing was based on mythos, and then eventually deciding, once I had trained, once I decided that this really was a serious pathway for me, that I probably wanted to do this full time. And for someone who comes from a very rational background and who had always worked in a very intellectual, rational research, all that sort of stuff, that was very challenging personally to me. So it was kind of like, am I really willing to give all of this up, all of this corporate stuff, good wage, good, kind of a reputation, all that sort of stuff, and go down this witchcraft path? And don't forget, we're talking 30 years here, kids.
Yeah.
Like a long time before witchy became a cool thing. Am I willing to go down, that pathway, and kind of be a capital W witch, and make a living from that, from writing. When people say, "What do you do?" I say I'm an author, because that's what's on the tax return, right?
Yeah.
But I'm a professional witch. I'm a witch, right? And as you know, been part of the community for a really long time. I'm not everyone's cup of tea, because I'm not that woo woo.
Yeah.
I come from I see this pathway as a very rational pathway. What could be more rational than paganism?
I completely agree.
Dirt, sun, moon,
Yeah.
kind of the things you can feel and see, elements. It's not, there are even witches that are atheist witches that don't believe in any deity. That's how down to earth this path can be, or is, So
Yeah.
and then since then, been pretty much a full-time writer. As you know, I've done the Lunar Diary. Like this coming one will be 18.
Wow.
The 18th edition, so 18 years. I just want to I guess my whole thing is making very practical, you know, the idea
Yeah.
of practical magic and making it relevant to modern people, because it's a very practical modern pathway, in my view. Yeah.
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 Thank you for sharing that. And I think that's part of what makes me it resonates your work with me so much, because I do have a similar approach. And, you know, it took a long time for me also to kind of more publicly integrate my witchcraft and my spiritual path into what I do. And it's even with like my husband, he doesn't really fully get it. And so for him, he's like building me websites and they're like, look like a doctor's website. And I was like, it's just, it's so clinical.
I'm married to a doctor.
Right, yeah.
Actually married to one, right? So he was, it was really interesting. He sees this as a very rational path because he lives with me, right?
Yeah,
We've
yeah.
been together a really long time. And from the beginning, he was like, you know, he sat me down and goes, explain.
I love that.
Is, you know, and,
yeah.
And, you know, he's the, like you're saying, you know, they're very helpful. He's the one that, you know, helps me plant things in the garden that I might need. He's the one that, you know, is very happy to celebrate, you know, the Wheel of the Year with me because it's fun. You know, like he sees the techniques as very useful for things like stress release and for manifestation. He's not whinging about the manifestation.
Yeah.
Let me tell you know, that he's pretty happy, you know, every time, we should try for this. It's like, you might want to do something around like something around that, you know. It's like, oh, okay.
Thanks for the suggestion.
Yeah, he suggests, right? So, you know, isn't Samhain coming up? Because like he likes the big feast we do, right? So, you know, it's very positive. It's like I said, it's an and, it's not an or.
I think that's so interesting that you mentioned that he likes the Sabbats, because my husband also really gets on board with the feasts, and he loves, like, we have a big carved wooden Wheel of the Year that's like front and center in our living space on an altar there, and he's always like, you haven't turned it, because we turn it so it's on like that. And he's
strain on you.
I know, he's like, we've got to turn it, it's not in the right spot. I was like, babe, it's the same no matter where, you know, but I know you like it at the top. But I think that does really speak to kind of how realistic it is as a path, because I mean, we're all about kind of building an observational practice here. So we talk about that a lot on the podcast, and connecting with nature through observing what's happening around us.
Wow,
and when you do that, it's just inherent. Like, you can't ignore it. It's, you know, the way that the seasons change and we move through the year, and the cycles that happen with the wildlife and with the plant life, you know, and then why people would have worshipped that back in the day for their harvest. It makes sense. It makes total sense.
And it's also, if you think about riding the cycles, right? It's really dumb to think that we can resist nature at the end of the day. And so I'm so delighted I have a space where I have a really big garden. Like, I have a 1-bedroom house, really small, and a giant garden. Okay. So like 5 of my houses, the house could fit onto the garden, right? It's massive. That's
amazing. Yeah. Beautiful.
So if you've got a copy of Plants of Power, the pictures of Miranda and I are in my garden, right?
Oh, lovely.
The very, very big stone and very strange garden, as in, you know, microclimates and things like that. So this idea of observation, super important, you know, super important. And this is part of what paganism is anyway, you know.
Exactly. And you're definitely very well known for your very practical approach to spirituality. And I really love that at the top of your website it says passionate practical magic. I thought that was so great.
Yeah.
But, you know, obviously, I feel like we've already touched kind of on your philosophy. I feel like, you know, your philosophy is that it is something that isn't so woo, and that we can integrate it into our lives in really meaningful ways, and have it be, you know, it's something that we would love to encourage more people to explore. Because was it on your Facebook page? I saw somebody say, I think it was your Facebook page, talking about, like, really actually a lot more people are pagan than they realize.
Totally. You know, like if you think about it, like, you know, my husband's a scientist. He teaches other doctors. He's, you know, he's a specialist. He's hospital based, you know, and yet if you said to him, "What's your spirituality?" he'd go, "Oh, I don't, I'm not religious. I have not been brought up that way at all. But it's the ocean."
Yeah.
Right? Like, so he's a surfer, right?
Amazing.
And if you break it all down, where does he feel most connected? Where does he feel, all those lovely words of what spirituality is? He would probably say the ocean or the mountains.
Yeah.
And therefore, by definition, he's earth honoring equals pagan.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in this country, especially in Australia, we have a whole bunch of people really connected to the land, whether that's the land, the ocean, by the land, I mean, the natural world. A real lot of us, right? And, therefore, if you had to write down what umbrella you sat under, it would be pagan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I completely agree with that. And so, this is why on this podcast is why we're here to talk about these things I really like demystifying topics and really making them understandable and digestible for people, which I know is also a passion of yours. And you have a lot of great resources on your website. So that's a shout out for anybody who's a beginner.
It's themodernwitch.com. It's been around for a long time, and we progressively change it, obviously, over time. But there's a big section of knowledge in there. It's like a library that you can just go in and pull out information.
And I feel like it's very easy to read. I feel like people can just go and go, "What's this word? Oh, that's what that word means."
Yeah. Well, and also it's when I first started, all those years ago, there wasn't a lot of, there was no internet. There wasn't a lot of resources. And so when I first got a chance to do this, I thought, I'm just going to put a whole bunch of, simplify it, demystify it. And at the time, that wasn't super popular.
Yeah.
Right? So people gatekeep things, and it's kind of like, well, yes, there are certain things in witchcraft that we do gatekeep. In particular, if you're in a coven with knowledge, particular knowledge, and all that, and that's necessary. But if you're just a punter coming in and you want to understand what this is all about, then it's better that I give some simple, clean, clear ideas on, definitions on what. Every single time I teach, I start something, and I'll go. So let's get up front. Let's get some definitions.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So everyone knows what I'm talking about.
Yes. And so that's what's so great about getting to chat to you today, because we're going to actually talk a little bit about protective magic. And that was a goal of mine for the podcast this year. Yeah. And I was trying to think of who could I speak to about protective magic that can help all of us who are wanting to develop that practice in our lives, make it stronger or start it all together.
Yeah.
Who can we learn from that is going to break it down, make it simple, easy to understand, and, make sense to integrate. And you are the name that came up. And,
Thank you.
You have this book, Protective Magic, and I think it came out last year, correct? 2025?
Yeah. But the really funny thing about this is how common this has got now. People wanting protective magic. My number one place that gets sold is Big W.
Oh my goodness, no way.
I say that not to promote Big W, because Big W is a big corporation. But
buy from Stacey.
That's how common it's got, right? Everyone has gone, yeah, that's probably a good idea to have something that, in this world that is super chaotic right now, and there's a lot of hate and a lot of, let's point out this difference, let's compete, and I think, although I do think that's changing now, what can I do to protect myself, right? What can I do to protect my family? What can I do to make myself feel more confident at going out into the world that's a bit, negative vibes, right? So what can I do, right? And so I just wanted to write a guide, a simple, not too complex. There is some advanced magic in there, but not a lot. I wanted to just keep it simple so that no matter what your level or no level at all, you can go in there and find something, right?
Exactly, yeah. And I think you've done a great job. You've got pretty much everything covered. You've got sections on curses, sections on plants, talismans and charms. You've got all sorts of things in here. And I think you're right, the way that the world is going at the moment. What is inspiring about that, about, Big W being your greatest source of sales, is that people are starting to take ownership. They're starting to take ownership over their safety, their lives, and take their power back, which is really exciting.
This is it. This is like you got it. I mean, it's a very empowering pathway.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's a very empowering to do the work. You've got to have a little bit of skin in the game, right? Yeah. Like this is why I never like the idea of anyone casting on behalf of someone else unless they're really sick or something like that. But you need your own energy in the game. You need your own consent to do this going forward. And I think in talking about protective magic, we need to start with ourselves. So I often have someone, I need something protective for my friend or for my child or for my husband or for my, and it's like, hang on a minute. What about you? Like you're going through this issue or you are worried about all of this. Can we start with you? Because the more protected and the more energy we can raise ourselves, the better our magic is, the more effective our magic is. Right? So it's kind of important that we start with ourselves. And that is there are so many simple ways to do that, like literally hundreds of ways to do this. And you don't have to be a witch or a practitioner or anything like that to be able to do it.
Yeah. And for people who are confused maybe about what protective magic actually is, could you define it a little bit for us and maybe give us an example of what that would look like?
All right. So there's all kinds of magic. All right, I'm going to go big, right? So there's all kinds of magic. And what is magic? Well, it's sort of, alchemy, it's energy. My husband would call it electricity that runs through the body, because we have electricity that runs through every single cell in our body. That's not a bunch of bull. That is, like your heart, the charge of your heart doesn't work, you die, right? So we are electric beings, right? So the magic that we make is, a mixture of, intention, your own energy, the energy of the earth and the universe, all those kind of things sent out into an intention very, very strongly. We can ask for the energies of the deities if we believe in them. We can pull in all kinds of everything from weather to physics to gravity to everything we can pull in elementally, right? But protective magic is when we decide, one, that we are going to make sure that any negative energy, anything that is not good for us, is repelled to start with, because prevention is better than cure.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's like being, if we keep our body as healthy as possible, we give it good fuel, we move it, there's certain things obviously that, we can inherit, DNA and all that. But, if we look after ourselves, chances are if we do get a virus, we do get sick in some way, we can fight it off easier, right? So it's kind of like that. We need to firstly prevent anything negative coming towards us. So to me, and I say this in the book, 80% of really effective protective magic is nothing gets in to start with. Okay, right, yeah. The second part of this is if something does get through, that we know how to deal with it, okay, that we know how to release it, we know how to get rid of it, we know how to repel it back. And, I'm just going to use the term mirroring because it's an easy way to think about it, that anything, like imagine you've got a mirror around you, anything that hits is going to be reflected back to whence it came. So if somebody is throwing stuff at you, what's going to happen? Well, it's like a basketball being thrown against a wall. You're the wall.
Yeah.
Right? What happens to that basketball? It gets bounced back to whence it came. Right? Yeah. So that's, part of it. But we can store energy, positive energy, reflective energy in everything from talismans to crystals to we can do potions, we can do rituals with beautiful plants that are naturally protective. You know, like I went out and I went out this morning to see. I plant for protection, right? So I plant traditional witches plants all around my house. You know, like you might have heard the term. Some of you might have heard the term hedge witch, which is the original kind of hedges that used to be around witches' houses, right? And it wasn't just, you know, protective for them, because you don't want people just coming in and, you know, seeing what you're doing, but also they were protective plants used in potion spells, you know, all that kind, in healing, all those sorts of things.
Yeah.
So protective magic, you know, where people get kind of intrigued about it, obviously, is the curse thing, right? I've got a whole chapter of that, you know, but honestly, people have this idea that witches curse, right?
Yeah.
And I'm a pretty well-known witch that does this for a living, and I don't curse.
Yeah.
Yeah? And why don't I curse? Because a real curse, you pull that energy through your body, just like you're pulling all the really good energy through your body for other reasons. Why would I do that? And particularly, why would I do that for money? Right? Like, why would I curse other people? You know, that's my personal decision. People do curse, but, you know, you do that enough and you soon reap what you sow, right? Yeah. So I'm not kind of interested in doing that. You know, there's other ways. There's always other ways that you can have a successful result than cursing. You know, so I'll just say, for example, you know, someone will come to me and say, hi, I've got literally, this is a true story, I have literally a bag of cash here and I want you, here it is, I want you to curse my ex-wife.
Nice.
Right. And like, do I really want to associate with someone who, because a curse, there's no way around it, it does harm.
Yeah.
So, like, am I a hitman for someone? No, I'm not. Do I want to involve myself with someone who wants to do that for whatever cash? No, I don't. Not anywhere near the person that I am. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing is, if I do this, then, you know, it's going down a darker path, right? It's using my energy for something that is not so good, right? So why would I want to do that? Why? No good reason. The third part of this is this this person, I will often say, I said, so you have an ex-wife and you want what, revenge, or, you know, and when it comes down to it, the person's been hurt or it's not good and they want revenge. They're rageful, they want revenge. And I go, but you know what the best revenge is? And they'll say, what? And I'll go, well, the best revenge is that you are successful, that you're doing really well. Because if this is not so good, that you have a great relationship, that you are earning good money, that you are having this great life, isn't that the best revenge? And then half of them will go, actually, yeah, that'd be great, right? And I can help them because we're casting on them. Yeah. We're casting on them for good things, for a great life, for a new relationship, for them to not go down a dark path. It's positive. But the ones that are too far gone, then it's like, I'm sorry, you can go to someone else, right? Yeah. So protective magic it's all of those things, right? It's getting what we want, but also protecting ourselves in the first place.
And that's a very holistic way of looking at it, which I'm a big fan of. You know, in my own work, I'm very focused on looking at things from all angles. And like, that is a really shining example of that, being able to look at a situation and actually alchemize it into something more positive. But let's talk curses, because you've brought it up. So curses, it's such a buzzword. And I think, you know, now we've got things like witch talk. I haven't been on it, but I've heard a lot about it. And, you know, and the media too, not just recently, but for as long as I can remember, has, you know, depicted curses like you can just point a finger at somebody and curse them, you know? And it's just not like that, is it?
No, look, look, if you want to, like send a bit of the evil eye at someone, right? Like that, it is, it's like that. But for a real curses take expertise, and they're rare, right?
Yeah.
Because it takes consistent effort over time to raise the energy to do it. Okay, so it's not like, oops, I tripped and I cursed you by mistake. It's not that at all, right? So witches that are serious about the craft, we all have been trained, or we all know how to do it, right? So people say to me, but you know how to curse. I'm like, yeah, of course I know how to curse, and that's why I won't do it.
Yeah.
Right. That's why. Right. There's only one positive kind of cursing that I think, and I have taken part in, which is cursing an illness. Right. So someone who we know has a particular illness, we will, and you never do it on your own. You always do it with another couple of witches that are kind of equal expertise as you, that understand how to raise power, in a very focused way, and we share that energy through a particular, object or wand or something like that, and it's in a very specific place. So if the person, say, has a tumour, we know where the tumour is from the scan, and we will direct curse energy to that particular tumour. Okay, and the idea is you help kill off that tumour, right? Or you help kill that tumour, right? Depending on how you do it, but you share the load, right? So it's very powerful, but it's also you're sharing the load, so you're not passing that negative energy too much through one person's body, right? Yeah. So there's a way of doing it in my tradition, anyway, right? Yeah. So it's. But there is no way, shape or form that we go, just come to a bunch of witches and you don't have your medicine that that your oncologist is telling you to do, right? Yeah. This is supplementary. This is additional, right? Yeah. And it's a very loving, powerful thing to witness as well. Like when I've just not been taking part and I might have be at the ritual, it's a very human thing to be directing energy as a group for someone. It's beautiful. Yeah.
I've actually never heard of that being done, so that's even new to me. And so I'm curious to know if you actually see a difference between, because actually baneful magic seems to be something that I'm seeing pop up quite a lot at the moment in podcasts, online, and so do you see a difference between curses and then other baneful magic? Do you ever work with baneful magic in your own practice?
Define baneful magic.
Well, it's kind of tricky, but I think, to an extent it is that reflective magic.
You can reflect things back all the time. I mean, half of the, look, I'll show you.
But maybe with oomph. I think that's kind of.
I'm prepared. Let me show you. I'm preparing little disco balls. See these?
Oh my gosh. Right? That is so cute.
I love disco, right? But I put these, I charge these up with reflective protective magic for my clients. They put them in the garden. How cute is that? No one sort of sees it, goes, what the hell is that? They might go, oh, cute disco ball. Nice. It's not some creepy looking thing, right? And they're very powerful. They reflect back negative magic. That's what I've charged these things to do. Okay? So everybody listening. Baneful magic? Yeah. Right? But baneful only for people that might be sending horrible things to us. Yeah. Right? Mirrors are fantastic. Simple magic, right? Like this. I mean, I've got some little, mirrors in my garden. I've got disco balls. I've got chimes. That's another thing. Sound magic's very powerful for reflecting negative energy, clearing the space, right? Yeah. So if you walk through my garden, there's sound, there's smells, there's protective plants, there's all kinds of stuff, right? So it's a really nice place for me to, be teaching a student too. Come and look, and you tell me what you're seeing. Yeah. And half of them go, I can't see it, right? Because they don't know.
Yeah.
And that's the whole idea, is it not? We don't have to be obvious about our magic. We don't have to wear giant pentagrams. We don't have to do all that. We're just creating this space that when they walk through, oh, I love you. I love it here. Like,
It
oh,
feels
it's
so
such
peaceful.
it feels so peaceful. Yeah. And there's a reason it feels that way. Yeah.
So for everybody listening, Stacey held up a little mini disco ball, so you should go and jump on the video so you can see it.
Yeah,
yeah,
but
cute.
let me tell you, these, where do I get, like every time I do this, oh my God, they're so cute. Like, it's a $2 shop, man. Like,
Yeah.
that's a $2 shop. I get, what's the price on that? Like, there's a pack of 6 that I get for $6.
Yeah.
Okay, so go along to your local, like, there's giant ones, there's small ones, like, they're fantastic. And I give them as gifts to my friends, like, it's, and, someone will say to me, oh, it's broken, it fell off the, the thing, I need another one. Great, we'll bury that one and I'll make you up another one. Right?
Yeah.
Like, or I'll teach you, more likely, I'll teach you how to do it for yourself. Right? Yeah,
I love how creative that is, and I really like how accessible it makes that for people as well, that little tidbit. So thank you for sharing
like
that.
budgie, like you go to a pet store and you get a budgie mirror, like with the bell on the bottom. Super duper magic, those things.
Amazing,
right?
Yeah.
Right? It's a mirror and sound. So I have those in the garden, like they're fantastic. You don't need a budgie, you just take the mirror. Yeah.
that is absolute gold. I'm definitely going to be applying that in my own garden. I'm going to, reflect any negative energy coming from my local bush turkeys because they're nightmares.
I love our bush turkeys.
I love them from afar. They are.
Are you scared of them, or they're just digging up your garden?
Oh, they dig up the entire garden. I don't even have a garden right now because I kind of gave up. I thought they were bandicoots. I was like, I think a bandicoot's come through. But no, the turkeys, I like them. I let them build their nest there. I kind of just gave in and surrendered to the turkey.
Yeah.
And so they've had all their babies in my yard, and like, it's great. But if I could have a garden, that'd be also really nice. Yeah. So obviously I like how you touched earlier on kind of prevention is better than cure. And that's a big thing for naturopathic medicine and kind of my background, prevention is best medicine. And so and I think that is one of the core principles of protective magic. I think, as you said, it's so much better to protect than have to go and clean up something once it's already in place.
Half of this book, more than half, is about prevention. Right?
Yeah, and that is great. I think that is great, and definitely the best starting point for beginners, right? But what do you have any like basic ones? I guess you've just shared the mirrors in your yard. I know I've heard you speak before on kind of like your morning practices of raising energy, things like that.
Simplest morning practice. Most powerful thing, and I teach this to every single witchling that comes through. Okay, like any new people, right? The first thing I teach, and for those of you out there that I have taught, this is the truth. I think about it like a practice is like a habit, right? It's like cleaning your teeth. So how many times do you clean your teeth a day, right? Yeah. In the morning and the night. Okay, hopefully.
At least, yeah.
Right? Yeah, right, at least, yeah. I get up in the morning, and the first thing I do is I let the dogs out for a wee, right? Because, you do that. And as they go out to the garden, I go outside and I pull up energy. It's a morning practice. I shut my eyes for a second. I put my awareness in my feet. Don't have to have bare feet. It's getting a bit cold for that now. Like, you pull it, you imagine that your feet are like the roots of a tree. You let them go down a little bit, and then you take a big breath and you pull up the energy of Mother Earth. This is your birthright as a human being, right? You are part of nature, not apart from her. You are plugging in. It takes no special woo-woo expertise. You are simply going to pull up energy. So big breath in, you're going to pull up the electricity from the earth, if you want to put it that way. Let it go up and up and up until it comes out the top of your head, down your arms, into your hands. Okay? Now, you get a choice. It feels really nice. You're looking up, you open your eyes, you look out. Oh, nice. Feel the moisture of the air or the coolness of the air. Have a sniff like the dogs. What do I sniff out there today? Oh, yeah, it's a bit smoky, or oh, I can smell the flowers, or I can smell the jasmine down there, or, whatever it is. Allow yourself to be a human animal just for a minute, okay? No, nothing else. No phone, nothing, right? Just be there for that minute or so, right? Pull it up, and then you'll feel, if you get good at this, right, and you get good at it by consistency, every day you do this, you take a breath in and you're like, oh, my hands are a bit tingly. That's the first thing. People go, oh, this is real. Oh, my God. Everyone stands up that little bit higher. We're feeling that flow of energy. Then you get to decide, I've got a big day ahead. I think I might like to give that energy back to myself. Okay, be a closed circuit, right? We don't give out. We just take, we pull up, we give it back to the earth, sure, but we're a closed circuit. We give it to ourselves, okay? Or I'm feeling good today. It's Sunday. I don't have a lot to do, right? So on that day, you might go, I'm going to give that out to the world. I'm going to give those good vibes out. That electricity goes out. And you might have a particular person you want to give it to, a particular subject, something's on your mind. I'll give it out to that. All right, great. The other yesterday morning, I was worried about the Artemis astronauts coming back, so I was like, did my normal morning thing, and I was like, I send it out to them, right? Yeah. They're like, I want them to do a good job. I want everything to go right for them. They've given everyone so much love over the last 10 days. I'm gonna send a bit of love back, right? So that was that day. Today, this morning when I got up, I went, I've got a big day ahead. I'm gonna give it to myself. Not selfish, just closed circuit for today. That's all. Okay. And then when I'm finished, I go, that was really good. I'm grateful for one thing. I go, I'm grateful for the clouds in the sky today. I'm grateful that I'm alive. I made it out through another night. Wonderful. Whatever. Right? Yeah. And it doesn't have to be a big thing, right? It can be, I'm thankful for my dog over there. Whatever. And then I unplug. I pull one leg up and then the other leg up. Unplug. That's it. Okay, so all of that has taken a minute to 2 minutes, like cleaning my teeth.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not asking you to do it twice a day. I'm asking you to do it once a day, half the effort of cleaning your teeth. But you do it every day, right? So when you do that in protective magic, you're extending your energy outwards like a circle around you, okay? So when I do that exercise, I've extended it too. I take a big breath out and I create a protective circle around myself, and I ask for the good to be there, anything negative be reflected.
Yeah.
Right? Like the mirror, all right? Like that mirror energy. Now, literally, if you can't spend a minute or two on yourself every day, something's wrong. No, I know you've got a toddler. You have to watch your toddler run, but your toddlers can take part in that.
But that's what I was thinking. Like, what an amazing exercise to do with children as well, and start them from such a young age. Like, he would love that. We've already started to do breathing exercises together because toddlers, big emotions sometimes, and so I really do work with kind of panic attack tools for him when he's feeling really heightened, and so sometimes we've started to do that, breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth, make a sound, and it really works for him to help him calm down. And I'm thinking that would be such a fun exercise to introduce with him now.
And you can do it with stomping, ooh, and put, I'm going to lift one leg and lift the other, with the kids that I know, I've got to say certain, festivals on the Wheel of the Year, they're so much fun for them as well. So, but this every day to, if he or she, sorry. He. So if he's up with you, oh my God, how much fun is this? You know what I mean?
And what a difference in the world it would make if everybody did that every morning. I always had such a thing about people saying, well, I'm just one person. What difference does anything I do make? And I'm like, well, if everybody thinks that way, of course, no difference. But if we all just took
been changed by people like one or two people, like with a great idea, like we all matter. Yeah. We all matter.
And if we all collectively start to raise this energy and then also send it out to people who need it, I think that would be such a generous way and such a simple, free way to make a difference in the world. You don't have to go out to a march necessarily, although do it, like it's great. But, if you don't, for some reason you can't, if it's not accessible to you, this is such a great way to send love out into the world for people who need it.
Yeah, but also I think we can all do what we can do. You know what I mean? Like we all can do what we can do.
Exactly.
And like you have a little charm.
Yeah, I'm not going to any marches right now.
Right. So you do what you can, right?
Yeah.
The thing that we have a problem with is when people do nothing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. So I think no matter what, it's this. To me, I write a lot about reciprocity, as you know, like it's a very sort of witchcraft term, like it's a general term, but you, in particular with gardens, you sow something and then you reap it, right?
Yeah.
Unless the brush turkeys get involved, right?
Yeah.
But,
unless that.
But this is us taking the time to give.
Yeah.
We all need to be doing that. Right now.
To ourselves, to being resourced lets us to also be able to go out and do good in the world in other ways as well if we are resourced ourselves. And I like that you brought up the garden again, and specifically kind of actually one of the plants that didn't get destroyed by the bush turkeys was my white sage. And I completely attribute my success with white sage to you. And it came after many failures of growing white sage. But, I really do believe that we shouldn't be over harvesting these plants as, white sage is in danger now of, is being over harvested. And, the communities that relied on it for, hundreds and hundreds of years can't access it all the time now, and that's not great. That's not what we want, and that's not part of being ethically harvesting and working ethically as a herbalist. And so I do always try, in part for that purpose, because there's a lot of plants that are being over harvested now that wild crafting has become a thing, and then also the connection with the plant and actually being able to understand how they grow, what they like, what they need, what kind of energy they provide, the best time to harvest them. You really don't get to embody that information unless you grow them yourself. And so I asked for plants of power for a Christmas gift, and I got it, and my mum bought it for me, and I read your section on white sage and how kind of, even like not harvesting. In fact, I never harvested it. I only took leaves. Sometimes I would take a leaf. Yeah. I actually never even chopped it off, but, letting it grow and just forming that connection and respecting the plant in that way.
Yeah. And you don't need much. Like people have this idea that if you're using white sage for a smudging or whatever, that you need to be making the big smudge stick, right?
Yeah.
You dry one leaf, like
you may not even need the whole leaf in one go.
You don't even need the whole leaf. Right? Like it's like I've got a plant, a really big plant, and it took me a long time to grow it. Like my soil is not the right soil for white sage, whereas Miranda, my co-writer on that book, like she's just got like giant sage, because her land is much more what sage likes. But I became very precious about it, so I would pull off maybe 5 leaves and dry them, and then I would just, and like I said, you burn one leaf and it, like half of it you're like like this. Why do you ever need a big smudge stick? Smudge sticks were used in ceremony for huge amounts of people at powwows and at big ritual, right? You needed that for lots of people. You don't need it for your house. You need one leaf. That's all.
Absolutely.
And that there are other plants you can use that are more common. In incense, in that book, like as there's heaps of incense recipes, right? Mm-hmm. You don't need to go down that pathway of stripping leaves from your plant. I mean, it's not not necessary.
Yeah, and I really do think the only way I was able, because I live in a rainforest, so I
Yeah.
on
Oh,
a
nice.
mountain, so it's not
Yeah.
exactly white sage territory
No.
either. It's quite damp,
Yeah.
like it likes, but it's not got that kind of desert kind of climate at
Yeah.
all. Um, but was just by building that relationship. I really had to tune in with the plant to understand how to help it thrive.
Yeah.
And so let's talk about plants a little bit because you're
Yeah.
obviously so passionate about your garden. And I really like that in the Protective Magic book, you spoke to planting in such a way that you repel negative energy.
Yeah.
And I've always been a fan of that. And you talk about having bougainvilleas and
Oh,
thorny cactus,
have a look.
roses.
Have a look. This is from the bougainvillea, all right? So
Oh my
those of you who are
goodness.
not into or don't have bougainvillea, I don't know what they are. They're very pretty, right?
They're
They're
very pretty.
flowers, gorgeous Mediterranean plant. Because I live near the ocean, on like one side of my house gets direct salt, fog, and
Wow.
everything, right? So I've got a lot of Mediterranean plants on that side. And then once it goes crazy, it then sort of dies back, and we're coming into the dying back period at the moment. And then this is what you're kind of left with. And as you can see, it's nasty.
It's
Like it's
gnarly.
really nasty, right? So if you've got that as a protective plant, right, which is a traditional thing for bougainvillea, it was sort of around, it climbs, for those who don't know. There's a reason, right? And even roses, I've got roses, all sort of cottage roses in one section, and they're highly protective too. Any thorned plant is going to give you that idea of protection if you plant it the right way, right?
Yeah.
So people don't think about bougainvillea like that, but bougainvillea was planted as a protective plant because
Yeah.
you know.
And it does provide, even if people don't realize it, like they might admire the flowers, admire roses, even
Gorgeous, yeah,
cactus, they're so cool. But it does, like the subconscious, it does affect the subconscious in a way that
yeah,
is repelling. Like,
yeah.
you don't, necessarily think to just, not that you and I do, but,
Mm,
people obviously do walk into people's properties. Um, Maybe that's less likely to happen if you've got those plants there.
yeah.
And then what an amazing tool to like bring into your craft then that you already have on hand. Do you work with like the
Yeah,
bougainvillea
so this,
sticks?
yeah, so when I'm doing binding spells, like
Right.
I can cut that off, and I can do the binding around this about what behavior or what issue it is that I want to bind. You got this. If I want something to stay away from me, I can use this in the magic. I have a wand that I use for removal, for like reflecting and removal, and it's actually like, imagine this but much wider. It's an older plant, part of an older plant, and the wand has thorns on it, right? And
Wow.
you just
Yeah.
have to be super careful,
Yeah.
obviously,
Don't leave it on
but
a chair.
don't leave it on a chair. Yeah, but the handle is not made from the same thing, obviously, but
Yeah.
there's lots of ways that you can use this, all right? Like,
Yeah.
and roses, like I've got, like I said, lots of roses. And the problem with the cottage roses are, sometimes people will see the display of cottage roses, because I've got like pink ones and white ones, very traditional, and then they go over and go, to smell them, because they smell amazing. And it's like, don't touch,
Yeah.
like don't touch that bit there. I'll get them off for you. Would you like me to, give you a cut?
Yeah.
But people don't think, because it's so beautiful. So it's another sort of way of protecting without being obvious as well. Yeah.
Yeah. You talk about some of like the key 5 witches herbs that you grow in your garden in the Protective Magic book.
Yeah. Yeah.
And do you have, so that included lavender, it
Yeah.
included, what else did it include?
Rue.
Yes, rue.
Rosemary.
Mugwort.
Mugwort. I've got some mugwort here.
Rosemary is one of my personal favorites.
There we are.
Beautiful.
The Artemisia. I have a lot of Artemisiums, all different ones. My patroness is Artemis, so they're all named after her, all onwards. I use these a lot, and they're super soft. I don't know whether you ever people
Yeah.
have ever touched a wormwood, but they're very, very soft. And you can use these in all your protective magic. You can use them in you can use them in your bath. You can make potions out of them. You have to be careful, obviously. I don't need to tell you, but people out there, don't take anything without a herbalist or a naturopath telling you. And they're highly protective. They're one of the witches' herbs, the 5 witches' protective herbs. The other one that I love, obviously, is rosemary. Rosemary is sort of anti-inflammatory, antiseptic. It's good on lamb if you get that way. I've just cut this and all I can smell is rosemary.
So good.
And I don't have any. The other ones don't have a lot of smell. And then you put this in a little bottle, in the sunshine, it'll grow roots, and I can stick this in the ground. I mean, it's easy to grow, rosemary.
Yeah.
And you can make oils. It's good for your hair. This is just like this. You can't go wrong. And over the driveway, I have a long driveway, and where my land starts, the whole one side is rosemary. It's a hedge of rosemary.
Beautiful.
Right?
I love rosemary hedges.
Amazing, and the purple flowers, and it's all lovely, but it's also highly protective. Right? Like there's everyone, it's good for memory. It's a health herb.
Yeah, for sure.
Obviously. And this morning, just going for my walk this morning to see what was sort of out there and about, mullein. I don't know if anyone has.
Yeah.
Like
beautiful.
The common name is like lamb's ear. You can see my brush turkeys have been at this.
Enjoying a little chomp.
Very soft again. Like this is it's like velvet. You can hear it. It's like velvet. This is a light bringing plant. This is highly protective again. It grows a very famous torch coming out the middle of it. And if you get one of those, every couple of years you'll get one. The seeds are full of oil. And traditionally, people on the fire festivals, so all the, Litha, all those kind of midsummer, all of that, they would they'd cut it off and set fire. It'd be like a torch that would last for ages. Right?
Yes, I've always wanted to make one. Because people dip them in beeswax as well.
Yeah. Well, I've got bees as well, right? So it's fantastic.
Yeah, full circle.
So if you go to places like Delphi in Greece, where there's been a big, history of having people go for oracular reasons, religious reasons, religious as in the old religions. When you're walking up to some of the caves up in the mountains, all along the pathways, you've got mullein growing, okay? And it's on those pathways. It's not off the pathways, it's on the pathways. So that people for millennia have been cutting off the torches to walk up and do worship, right? Yeah. And it's, I couldn't believe the size of these mullein plants, right? Like, my one, it's pretty big. You can see, if that was coming out like that, they're pretty big. But the mulleins, though, I took photos of them, going, oh my God, like we're talking, like, like huge, And it's because they're old, right? This has been going on for thousands of years, like it's super, super cool. The other plant that I really love, and it's because I have cats, is catnip.
Right. I'm on such a catnip kick these days. I actually shared a bit about it on my Substack the other day.
I'll have to watch.
Because my son went through a series of like tummy aches. Like he'd eaten something that wasn't like great for him. He's a little sensitive to gluten, we think. And so I have worked with teas with him since he was just a wee baby. And like diluted, and then now he can kind of drink a bit of a stronger tea. And so we talked about catnip and how, because we grow it, and I started growing it before I fell pregnant, and I just got this message like I should start to work with catnip, and I was like, that's such a random plant for me to work with, but okay. And it's so great for kids and so great for tummy troubles. And so he drinks his tummy tea, and he asks for his tummy tea, and he drinks it up. He goes, tummy better. And I'm like, so cute.
So like I let things like catnip, parsley, those, kind of ones that go from seed really well. I let the plants I don't pick them all. I let them, one or two of them always to go to flower and to seed. And then I let it self-seed, right?
Yeah.
So mullein, catnip, parsley, my God, so much parsley.
Oh, I'm jealous. That's great.
God. So, and it's everywhere.
Yeah.
And, people come, oh, my God, do you plant like that? And it's like, no, I let nature do that, right? And we have so much, yarrow, my God.
Oh, yeah.
Yarrow, right? Verbena, lemon balm, if they all will go to seed, and you can just, like if you get some, fine, throw it around. But in my garden, it's very windy, so it catches it, goes to seed, right? So I think it's also the land. I mean, we write about this, that your land will grow what you need, right? I think if you're very sensitive to plants, like there's things that have appeared. I remember Miranda coming here, my co-writer, and going, like, do you know you've got like comfrey down the bottom there? And I'm like, really? I do. And she goes, yeah, come. And there's comfrey just sitting there. Like, I've never planted comfrey.
Yeah.
Where did it come from? I don't know. Like, birds have dropped it, or a next door neighbour. I don't know. But I needed it, for my injuries that I had in the sport. You wrap comfrey around to help with swelling, right? I needed it. So there it was. I think there's a kind of intelligence in the land, right? And the other thing I would suggest people do is that they grow garlic.
Right. I've always wanted to, and I get the cloves, and I never plant them. That's a weakness of mine.
Do it. It's so easy. Just pulling a clove and putting it in. It's it. Right, and pulling it up at the right time, right?
And so why should we be growing garlic?
Okay, well, garlic is one of the most protective herbs out. Well, it's not even a herb. It's a root. It's a rhizome, right? But it is so good for us. I mean, you can talk to that. Garlic's amazing.
My best friend is also Greek, and so I get a lot of garlic talk. She's eating all the cloves.
Like, everybody loves the garlic, right? You can make a little bit of, if you're doing your like blessing of the house or whatever, you can have the plaits of garlic, which repels negative energy. You can put some garlic in some olive oil and anoint the outside of your doorways and windows. Like, it's not just to stop vampires, it's this idea that it repels anything that is not good and wholesome, right, coming into your house. And we know it's, antiviral, antiseptic, like it's a pretty amazing plant, right? So just to see if you can grow it is fun, just get a bit of pot in the ground, put it in, it needs the cold to start, and pull it up when you give it 6 months and pull it up,
Yeah. And do you find, I mean, I feel like I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Do you find that the plants that you grow yourself are more potent for your magic?
Yeah, look, I think for my magic, yes. When I can, like, I've got some rare plants here that I'm very excited that I've been able to grow, and then I use them in my magic, and it's like, oh yeah, this is really fantastic, right? Extra potent and all that. But it's also there are some plants too that no matter how hard I try, I can't get them going, right? And that's either I don't need it, or they're not ready to work with me yet, or just my soil isn't right, or I'm useless at that plant. I don't know. Miranda and I used to talk about this a lot, because there were some plants that she could just get going, and I would be like, oh my God, like, I've tried so hard, I've never been able to do it, and other plants that I'm like, people go, how did you get that thing so big? And it's like, I don't know. I like this plant. It feels nice to work with, So look, I think you just got to have a crack at it. This is what I say to everyone. When you garden, you don't have to be a gardener. You can have a go. And there's so much information out there, whether you get a book like Plants of Power that gives you some ideas on how to use them and all that, or you just look up on the internet just how to basically grow a particular plant. But try and grow the ones that you kind of are interested in. You know, like there's a good vibe with them. Like, I'd really like to try and grow some. Like I've got 5 different kinds of lavender. And, you know, everything from a dark purple to white to pink, you know, I've got heaps of it, right? And I like lavender, but I'll tell you what, who likes lavender more than me is my bees.
Yes.
Right? So I've kind of grown a lot of plants to feed them. And I've grown to love those plants because I see like salvias and things like that, because I see all the bees and all the benefit, the birds, everything that's come in because of those plants.
Yeah, and pollinator plants, you know, it's all part of the ecosystem, right? So you're creating this ecosystem of energy, and like bees in themselves have a lot of symbolism, and you know, so that's really beautiful. And so I'd love to talk about kind of if there's any key spots that you feel are really overlooked with protective magic. So is there anything that you feel, and I did I've heard recently about protecting toilets, and I thought that was really interesting.
Oh my God. When you wrote that to me, right? Like guys, we had a little back and forward. I've never heard of that. I've heard about toilets with feng shui.
Right.
Not leaving the toilet seat up because the water can take away your prosperity and stuff. And I'm like, I've always thought, all right, well, that's obviously that system. But no. I think about the toilet as a hygienic thing that you are using it for a reason and just keep the lid shut for lots of different reasons. But no, I don't go down that. I'm not. I think there's enough to remember in protective magic. A lot of very practical things as concepts to remember in protective magic than worrying about your toilet.
Yeah.
The bad energy coming through your toilet, like spirits coming through your toilet. I'm more worried about a snake coming up.
Yeah, definitely an Australia problem. Yeah.
About bad energy. So, you know, all good if that's a belief system that people have, but I don't worry about that. I'm more concerned with doing your prevention, having good spiritual hygiene, as in, like me, I wouldn't play with a Ouija board. For example. Right. I don't advise people that are new to all of this stuff to be going, I'm going to call a bunch of spirits from a place and get them to do my bidding. Good luck with that. You know, like I think we all have to have a lot of humility and not have hubris about this work. Right, and to kind of do it step by step and get better at it as we go. Yes, have a crack at things, but don't kind of think, you know, you're a legend and you can pull a nasty spirit from someplace and get it to do your bidding and have no consequences to that. Right? So, you know, there are ways in protective magic, you know, I speak about it in my book, how you can protect yourself from that. But like, honestly, why cause trouble? Why invite trouble in? Yeah. You know, like there's a lot of people who think Ouija boards are fun and, for example, and it's all good. All I'm doing is, you know, seeing who's there. Well, to me, the way I think about it, if we do believe in spirits, if we do believe in other entities and that kind of thing, if we do, then it's like going to my front door, you know, and let's say I have a house on a busy road and undoing the front door and going, hi, everyone, I don't know anyone here, but like, come on in. Anyone who wants to come on in, come on in. We'll have a beer. Come on in. I don't know who you are. Just anyone. You over there, you strange looking one over here. Come on, let's go.
Yeah.
Would you do that? Would you invite someone in your house you didn't know from the street, like when you got a little kid? Yeah. And in fact, you're going to allow your children to do this. They can go to the front door and go, "Hey, come on in." Anyone.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to be a good idea.
Yeah.
All right? Unless you kind of know what you're doing.
Absolutely. I think that's really good advice. I think, also when you're beginning on your path, it's like when you're beginning in herbalism or you're beginning in any profession, you don't know what you don't know. And so it's very easy to be very confident about something.
Yeah.
And have absolutely no idea what you're doing.
Yeah. And look, like I'm in a position, please believe me, where over a long period of time people come, for a consult with me for various reasons. And I would say half of those consults are from people who have sort of done some silly things in spellcraft, right? And they need a reversal.
Right.
And they're things like interfering with someone's free will. Love spells are a classic, right? Like I try to make this boy fall in love with me, and it's backfired because like I don't want him anymore, and he's a stalker, right? So I need to get rid of him, right? And we should never cast on another person, like we just shouldn't. So, it's a lot of this stuff is self-inflicted, and this is why it's really important that we build our own self-esteem, self-trust, self-care, all those things, so we're not tempted to go down that pathway and be kind of have a weakness and kind of go, I know better, I'm going to have him fall in love with me, right?
Yeah.
When honestly we should be casting for our own good self with a great relationship and on ourselves rather than inflicting that on someone else.
And I absolutely find that type of magic works best anyway. Like when I was working, when we were going to move up here onto the mountain we're on, it was kind of when the housing market started to go crazy. And so we were already looking, but my husband wanted to get a job up here before we actually bought a house just in case. So he just felt secure.
Well done. Yeah.
The thing about that though is that he got the job and then the COVID crazy happened. And so as we were trying to put like offers on places, people were coming in with like over asking cash, no pest and building, nothing. And so we were just getting outbid at every turn. It was so stressful. And I was obviously trying to do what I could to help us find a place here, because now he was working there. I already was working up here. And so we were doing like an hour and a half commute each way each day. And so we were like, we're either going to have to find like a different area or like what are we going to do here? And so also, I think you probably love to hear that was my husband's first and only ritual he ever did was to secure that job. He did we did a candle thing where he set his intentions and he placed it underneath and he burnt it each day until he heard from and he got the job.
How powerful is he? Woo.
I know, he loved that. And he often will tell me, he was like, can you just go do like a little candle ritual for me? But, in that process of me trying to work in every way, everything I had access to, so practical ways, making calls, looking at websites, looking at houses, but then also magically, it wasn't until I did like this chakra clearing meditation and did some work on me that the next day, like the next day we found a house. We have to work on
ourselves first, always, right? The
Yeah.
more powerful, like, one of the themes of my work is, and I know, for some people it's very boring, but the only true power is power from the inside out. Okay? If we rely on our power coming from the outside in, then we rely on other people for our permission to have power. Right? Like how much power, personal power we can have is reliant upon the opinions.
Sorry.
Right? We can't do that. Right, we have to have a solid foundation for ourselves. And then from that, then we build our power outwards, right? Our stability, our reliability, our consistency, all those really, really boring things that, I think, becoming more and more valuable because they're becoming rarer,
Yeah. completely. And just to end on a fun one, I'd love to know, like, because you seem to be like the talisman queen. Like, every time I hear you, like, on an interview, you have like something cool, and even like tools. You have great tools. I've heard you talk before about tools you use for harvesting your plants, and you know, you've got good tools and talismans.
I had it down here. Witches, we have this tool called a boline, which you might have heard, right? It's a little curved knife, and we only use it to harvest your herbs, right? And especially if we're going to use them for magical purposes or for talismans, right? So I've got like a little boline I've had made. It's a little silver curved knife. A boline is like a little, looks like a crescent moon. It's very beautiful. And I've got like a little necklace that you can wear it with a leather pouch as I go to the garden. So bolines, if you really want to get like super witchy, go and get yourself a boline and go to your garden and cut your hairs with that. But talismans, man, once you get really good at raising energy, like, and the way I've explained it to you guys, like earlier, is a really good way of starting, okay? Because eventually you get to put a lot of energy into your hands and then you can transfer it to whatever, okay?
Right, yeah.
I can make a talisman for anything out of anything. Like, so, you know, I've got a stapler on my desk. I can make this a magical stapler, okay? Whether it's got a charge for whatever. You know, it's easier if you have magical objects, right? Because, but you can do it with earrings. You can do it with a ring. You know, jewelry is a very classic one. The little mirror balls are talismans, right, for protection, right? A talisman, the more effort you put into it, the more elements you labor, you know, like, so for example, if I'm doing jewelry and I want it to be associated with a particular goddess or god, I might, let's say I'm going to make a really easy one. Like, so let's say it's Poseidon. I will take it down on a low and a high tide and I'll put it in the water and I'll do the trident on the top of it. I will do everything to do with the symbolization of the god or goddess I'm working for. And I might do this over a whole moon cycle because guess what? The tides are symbol of the moon, right? So there's lots of that. And then I will give it to the person and say, this one is for Poseidon. You know, Poseidon is you can use it for prosperity, protection, lots of sort of things, right? But whatever that's for, here you go, right?
Yeah.
And it's a layering of all that energy. It's an alchemy of energy. Yeah.
And do you have like a personal favorite that you work with yourself? Is it the boline?
Oh God, you're asking me to.
It's like choosing a favorite child. Yeah.
No, not really. Like
too many good ones.
Yeah, look, I've got, like, I love the little mirror balls because it's just so like unexpected and fun. And people don't get like freaked out by them. Like, I'll send them to a client and they go, "Oh, they're really cute. They're really fun." Like, but when I touched it, I got a buzz off it. I'm like, yeah, that's good. Just put it outside. Don't let other people touch it. Just, you know, so it doesn't have to be. Like, I love wands. I've got different wands for different things. The boline I use almost every day for different reasons. But a talisman can be anything. So I make temple beads. You know, like you know, you've got crystals of, you know, all kinds. But you know, I've got a belief about crystals that the crystal is a filter that you're putting your own energy through, right? So they're much more powerful if you use them in a talismanic way, that you charge them with your own energy, and therefore the filter of what that crystal does, it goes out further, much more strongly, right? So, you know, talismans are charged objects. Like I said, it can be a stapler, right?
Yeah. Which I definitely want to go make my stapler magical now. Now that you've planted that idea in my head, I'm like, you know, book proposals or something. Click, success, yes.
No, seriously, like, I've got a pen. I sign. You know, if I sign something, I've got a special pen with special ink that I use that has certain energy in it when I sign the books, right? So if anyone has, you know, I sign all the work that, you know, comes out of my store, so everything gets signed, like, and it has a good vibe, right? Like, because I do it that way. So, like if you are going down this path, you can imbibe magic and invoke magic in almost anything you do.
Yeah. And that is exactly the energy I want to carry into, encouraging people to, this is how you create a magical life, right? Like
Yeah,
this is it's the little things you do every day. It doesn't have to be grand ceremonial magic. It can just be infusing these everyday rituals, these
yeah.
everyday habits, actions with this magical intent.
Yeah, and I think that can put people off. Like I've got lovely people who go, "Oh, I used to be into this, and then it just got too much for me." And I'm like, when someone says that, I always say, "Tell me what your practice used to be." And it was so involved, and every time I did magic, it was massive magic. And like on full moons, I just do devotionals. Like I don't even cast unless there's something really, important or, that I want to do. It's just I go outside, I sit under the moon and go, thank you for making me a witch. Thank you. Like I'm so grateful for my life. Like thank you to Artemis, thank you to, like whoever I'm thinking of that night. But they're a devotional, they're a gratitude session, really. Right? I'm not doing huge ceremonial magic normally. Like dark. My favorite moon is a dark moon. So dark moon is, like I go inwards. I'm an, introverted person. So, as a writer, I let that percolate. I let go. Here's your idea in the cycle. Dark moon. You let all that stuff you don't want to take forward into the next, the next cycle. You let it go. You leave it there. Right. So what do? I have a bath. I sit in the bath. The lights are off. I have a candle. It's relaxing. And then as I get out of the bath, I go, all these things that I don't want, and it might be, one or two things or whatever, I let it go down the drain. Step out of the bath, they're no longer with me. Simple.
Yes. Simple. And it makes spirituality accessible. Again, like that word, it means that so many more of us can begin our practice if we haven't already, and just do it in a way that feels
You're a
good.
busy woman. Look, you've got a toddler. I mean, like, how do
very
you
busy.
shower? It's a lot of work, right?
Yeah.
So do we need, it's got to be bang for your buck.
Exactly.
Is this thing contributing to a better life for me, or a better mood, or a better feeling of health and vitality, or whatever it is? You're a naturopath, right? So is it going to contribute to that? If it is, then I'll do it. Yeah, I'm busy too, right? But if it's not, why am I doing it?
Yeah, it's not meant to be stressful. It's not meant to be a negative part of your life. And so you're so great with, obviously these being creative with what you're creating for clients as well. And I'd love, because you do offer services, so I'd love you to talk a little bit about if people want to engage with your work and find out what you do, how can people work with you and find you online?
Okay, I'm pretty easy to find. I'm on Facebook, Stacey Demarco. I'm on Instagram, The Modern Witch. I'm not I write about a whole bunch of things. It's not always, because I believe that what I do is, it's not just spells and stuff. I don't know about witch talk. I'm not on TikTok. I'm not out there cursing the moon and all this stuff that I hear people doing. But I'm like you're saying, practical magic is kind of where I'm at. I'm pretty prolific. I've got if you go to my website, themodernwitch.com, you'll see a whole bunch of books. If you go into the store, they're all available. I write this, lunar and seasonal diary every year. It's super practical. You can go through a whole year with the wheel of the year and the moon and the, all learning how to do it day by day. It's a pretty practical thing. It's great, beautiful. Yeah. It's beautiful too. But, you can I'm pretty contactable. I teach. If you go to the website, you can see what courses I have available. They're all, I think the next sort of ones I tend to do either full years, because I want to teach people properly, not just, I want to be a witch in 24 hours. It's not, not my style. But if you want to do short courses, there's some there. Longer courses, they've already started for the year, but we have some starting from the half year, so there's those. And then if people want a one-on-one consultation, you've got a kind of an issue that you're just not, you need a second opinion on, or, you want a new relationship, a new house, and, whatever, you can book my services one-on-one, which is what traditional witchcraft always was. Sitting with a witch, a wise woman, so to speak, one-on-one, and I've been doing that for over 20 years. So, it's I find that an absolute privilege. So I'm really happy to do it.
Yeah, that's a wonderful offering. I think it is kind of rare to find people, especially with your level of experience, who offer that kind of one-on-one experience for people. So it's great for people to know that they can find you and access that if they need it. And do you have anything coming up? Is there anything new for you?
Yeah, so the new, as you know, like we work so far in advance because of the diary, being Northern and Southern Hemisphere. So the new 2027 will come out in end of May, but we'll do a pre-sale on themonwitch.com. And then I have a beautiful deck coming in September, because
that's exciting.
Yeah, and it's nature goddesses, right?
Oh, wow!
Yeah. So it's all these beautiful goddesses from all over the world that are connected to nature in various aspects and various faces of nature, from all different cultures, and there's always a plant or an animal consultant on the bottom of each, so you can see which goddesses match with what plants or stones. It's gorgeous, as usual. The illustrator Kinga Britchke has done a beautiful job on the images. So if you're into the feminine divine as nature, there's there's 44 goddesses that you can learn from. It's and the mythos it's kind of my favorite mythos, creation myths and plant myths and all that kind of stuff. So it's absolutely beautiful. So yeah.
Okay, well that's very exciting to know about, and I'm very much looking forward to it. And I will have to add it to my collection.
Yeah, it's beautiful. But it's been one of my favorite ones to write, because it's I guess it's kind of easy, because half of them are more than half, like 90% of them I've kind of worked with in some level over the years. But it's beautiful. Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing, and just thank you for all of your time today.
Oh, gosh.
I'm just absolutely honoured to be able to speak with you and meet you and share all about protective magic with my community in a way that I think is going to make a lot of sense, and people can go out and start to actually practically work with it in their own lives, and that's what we're all about here. So thank you.
Oh, no, look, honestly, I'm always flattered that people want to spend a bit of time with me. It's great. So, look, if there's one thing I leave everyone with is grow something. Grow, you don't have to have a big space, right? Like, go to the nursery, get some rosemary plants, get some lemon balm, get some catnip in pots. It's so rewarding. Yeah.
Definitely. Thank you. And I'll pop all of your details in the show notes so everybody can find you. And if anybody decides to grow something or do any protective magic inspired by this episode, tag us so we can see it, because I want to see it.
That'd be great. Thank you.
All right. Well, hopefully I'll talk to you again soon, Stacey.
All right. Thanks again for everything.
Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Your support means the world to me, and if you have a free moment and would like to leave a review, a comment, or a rating on your platform of choice, that would go a long way towards helping me to grow the podcast and reach more people. If you aren't already subscribed, check out my Substack newsletter. Over there, I share lots of free resources, as well as an option to join as a paid subscriber, which is another beautiful way you can support my work. May what you've heard today guide you in living a little more slowly and a little more connected.